Aaron here at Bowtie Treasure Studio. So glad you're watching. And this console table I put on the event post, the original, which had a little floral design panel that I took off. So if you saw the event photo, you would probably remember it had that there. And I actually did use, Dixie Belle has Would You Bend 1147. It might be a limited time only, I'm not sure, but you get a set of 5 of these, and I just used one. I thought this was more practical. I have a keyhole than just a decorative. The other one made it look a little too traditional. I wanted to kind of give it something different. This is a drawer, so there are 2 handles there. I'll polish those up and get those back on here. All right, let me show you. I'm going to show you a video and I'll walk you through it. This here is the situation or the progress after cleaning and changing the keyhole out. I did 2 coats of bonding boss, and then on this step I used Peacock. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be layering 4 colors, and every color is going to go towards the middle. So I'm basically doing like you might do shading or with wax where you darken the edges. I'm starting with a dark color and working my way to light. And for where we are today, I've done 2 colors. The first one is Peacock, so I'm working from dark to light. And what I'm doing here is, notice it's pretty sloppy, which is fine. I'm just pushing Peacock into the cracks and crevices and knowing that the next color is going to be Mermaid Tail. So this is the first coat, really loose. And then we're going to come in with Mermaid Tail. Looks like I'm using the flat medium. I'm probably going to use a mini tonight. I'm not sure, I may change my mind on that. But you can see, and I'm fast forwarding through this, all I'm doing is trying to leave some of the dark colors and build the next color in the middle of that. So when we switch over here in a minute to Mint Julep as the 3rd color, I'm going to keep the Mermaid Tail still showing. So every color I add is going to be less and less in theory. Notice how I'm also wisping the edges. I'm just almost, you might call it dry brushing that on. Trying to feather would be another word, feather out those layers. So that's where we are. Right now we are 2 coats in, or 2 colors in. We have 2 more to go. And I'm going to bring you along the rest of those layers as much as I can. I'm not sure if I'm going to do any shading on this, but in the past I have come back with a shading, but technically that darker color that I did first is my shading layer. It's the kind of just vignetting those different panels. But I'm also painting the back, the legs, all over, and I'll try and work my way around. The difficult thing for me is just managing the camera while I'm all over the place. So we may focus on staying around the top and not so much around the legs, and you'll get the idea as I get that done. Put Mermaid Tail and Peacock to the side because those 2 are done. And like I said, you could literally stop at this point here. I think it looks nice, but my ultimate goal is the 4 colors. The other option too is do 3 colors. And so when we get Mint Julep done, we may say, hey, that looks great, why keep going? But right now I'm planning on 4. I've done this technique before, and I just literally realized what I was supposed to get ready before this live, and that is previous pieces I've done. So what I'll probably do when I process this for YouTube, I'll put some other pieces that I've done this technique on. It's not the first time for me. I think it really creates a great cozy vibe. So I have used it before, but sometimes I'll use it with creams and tans or grays. This one I'm going for more of a coastal color, and I think it'll definitely give it that boost it needs for my local area here in Pensacola near the beach area. So yeah, Mint Julep, and I just used Mint Julep on the 2 sewing machine boxes. If you're following me, you saw those. If not, go back and check those out. Okay, I made this years ago. I made this cart. Basically, I think it's a planter stand. It already had the wheels on it, and I just put a pad and fabric, and this is what, when I'm really low on the ground, I'll roll around on this, and this has really saved my knees and my back from mini projects, but normally I like to be up on a table. It just doesn't work so well to be on a table for this project. The other thing that's often a challenge for me is staying out of the way. I'll do my best to showcase my work. Now I do have a misting bottle, but keep in mind a lot of this, I want more of the brush strokes to show. Not a thick paint, but just I want some of those strokes to show. So if you use water too much, it's going to be more of a wetter finish, and I don't want too much of that. So don't be afraid of a little water, but keep an eye that you're not watercolor painting, if you will. All right, so in this case, I just need to test it out. And I also used a sanding pad before I started just to give it a nice smooth finish, because you are using more of a dry approach. So remember, we have dark, medium, now we're doing the third color. So every color is getting a little bit more. And turn your brush sideways. I don't want to paint all of that previous work out. And remember that wisping approach we talked about? That's where I'm just kind of like, you see how I'm leaving the gap there? I don't want to fill all that in. After a while, you'll get used to how much paint should be on your brush to get the look you're going for. Like notice I didn't jump right on this edge with a loaded brush. And loaded is, I used loaded lightly because I didn't really load it up too much. So there, I discharged a decent amount of brush or paint on the flat. Now we can kind of lightly drag. I want to catch that edge with this technique here. So just manage the feel and the touch of how much paint to leave on there. I don't see a lot of the blue in here anymore, but that's okay. It's all part of a build-up anyway. You just choose your place where you want to have a lot of the color or not a lot of the color. I'm not worried about flat consistent on the top because I've got another color coming, but let me just show you kind of before and after. So you can see here, there's nothing, and then over here we start building a little bit more variety and texture down there. That's at least what I'm hoping to accomplish. So let's keep going and wrap this top up, at least this color. To a certain degree, once you get this technique moving, it's the same process. It's just a different color or a different part of the project. So I'll probably do a lot of fast forwarding and watching. So feel free to jump around. Let's work on the front and drop my, just gonna give it a quick mist. This is where the flat medium size comes a little bit better handy because it's not big an area. So remember, 2 colors, I don't want to wipe all that out, so we're going to work middle out. So that first dip in the paint should go to the middle of whatever section you're working on, and then just vignette it out. There's not much paint left on my brush. I'm really pushing a lot of pressure to get that paint out. And I didn't really get much of the edge. So you're almost going to have more of a glow. And that's great. Now, while you have a little bit of paint on your brush, just hit those edges. So I want to accentuate this down below, but I'm not going in there. I'm just hitting the high points. Okay, we'll keep going. So we know we're going to have hardware right here. So put that little space paint in there, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of a mist, not much. I want that paint to move a little bit freer, but not too much. Again, just going to You can spray your brush, that's okay too. And if you get too much, it's all right. Just all a learning process. I'm not really getting up at the top, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm very aware at this point that I have another color coming, so don't want to overdo it. Drag those edges, discharge some of that extra paint. So this is going to be the fun part. I'm going to bring the guys up closer to the camera. This is why I like the keyhole, is we're going to move over it. So let me just show you, as far as paint goes, there's not much on the brush. And sometimes you can even, like on a surface or a towel, you can spread that paint out a little bit so you're not streaking 3 things of paint, 3 bristles of paint. Or you can drag it on your lip and get a little bit more on there. You got to be really careful now. I got a lot more paint on this, but it's a bigger area, so I need more paint. I'm trying to, at this point, go in the same direction, but once you get started, just move it around. A little bit more water. It's being a little too dry. There's just that balance between too much paint or too wet. Nothing's really happening, so you kind of find that balance. All right. Notice I'm not putting much paint around the edges. It's almost like we're feathering, we're vignetting. You pick the word. But notice I love how there's still a lot of blue in there. Let's see if the camera will show that. So that's what you're going for, is that depth. I keep fidgeting over stuff, but still have another color to go. The key is when you push it back and you step back and look at all the panels, you just ask yourself, how's the balance coming? Like you can see right here, got a little bit of a hole there. Sometimes you get too close to your project, and then you go and stage it and you're like, dude, that's not even balanced. So look for balance. Think about ways to bring that together. Look for consistency side to side. That feels better. But I've done this on tables, dressers, consoles, home decor. I always like the results. I rarely do it on classy, like fancy pieces, but I have too much paint. My job here is to break as many tips and suggestions I give you. Like that might be too much right there. You just have to figure out your aesthetic. Just remember the whole vision. Like I got another color coming. Final color I use, this is sea glass. This is a very, very light teal. We might come back with fluff or buttercream. So I'm gonna be a little bit lighter with pressure here. But just know that what I just put on there is not the lightest color that I could come back with and really pop that out. Sometimes I'll wait and clean the hardware to see if the hardware polishes up bronze or gold. And I might put some metallics on this keyhole a little bit just to tie that all together. So I don't know if you noticed, but I drug most of the paint on horizontally, and now I'm more of that wisping feel where I'm just taking whatever's left on the brush and just dusting the rest of it. But if you need more paint, just be light. See right there? And by the time this paint dries, you may not see too much of it. That's one reason why I might come back and put a brighter color. But notice, you see how the glow's happening? That's 4 colors now. And we've done no blending. So I'm going to put some more here. Fade it out towards the edges. You don't want this color all the way to the first color you put down. And then when the paint's out, start your dusting step. And little touches here and there. Find that balance. Find the symmetry from one side to the other. Try to hit the high points. So this is 3 colors. Totally cool. You can stop there. And but since I thought about it, let's just go there. You decide for your piece how many colors, when to stop. I'm just a big fan of a nice highlight color, and this sea glass does that for us without going so strong from these 2 colors to sea glass. So we've got 3 colors happening there. Thanks for joining me tonight. I hope that shows you at least a little bit of the overall process, so that when you see the finished product, you know how it got there. All right, friends, I'm here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. As always, be awesome, do something creative. Until next time, we'll see you later. Y'all take care.
That's the end of the show. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell before you go. Bye.